Scabby
Podcast.
In an ancient hotel in room 142 lay two foolhardy fools with nothing to do. They sit and they ponder about movies they've seen while trapped in their room and stare at their TV screen. Sometimes they play songs on the instruments they've amassed. The Pinj and the Maggie on the Scabby Hayze Podcast.
Welcome to the Scabby Hayze Podcast. This is your co-host Pinj, informing you that this is a two-part episode, so if you haven't heard the first part, go back and take a listen to it. And for the rest of you, let's get on with the episode. Alright, let's talk about Road to Perdition. This is the movie we watched directly after The Thing.
Yeah, and after was already exhausted, you're like, oh, let's watch my movie. He's like,
Oh, come on.
I'm like, are you serious?
Closed my eyes for maybe 3 seconds or
Okay,
something.
well, you could have missed a lot of stuff. And being tired, you didn't fully comprehend everything that was going on. I know because I've been tired during movies and you miss a lot. Batman Begins is a perfect example of one. I dozed off so many times.
Shame on you.
The first time I watched it. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, hey, that was an actually good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so exhausted the first time I watched it that I didn't even comprehend what was going on. Most of the time.
But hear me out. I still enjoyed Road to Perdition.
Okay.
So.
All right, but that's not what you said when it ended. After it ended, I said, what did you think? And you're like,
I said it was good. That's good. That's what I said. And then
then you proceeded to
critique the film.
A lot.
Okay.
So I was like, okay,
let's do a quick summary. Do you want to?
Sure.
When was it made?
Road to Perdition is like a mobster crime movie that was made in 2003, starring lots of well-known actors: Tom Hanks, Paul Newman, Daniel Craig. Somebody else in it. Jude Law.
Yeah.
And it's about a man working for a crime boss, and he has a son who saw him on one of his missions or whatever, killing a bunch of people. So the crime boss's son thinks that the kid witnessing the event is compromising, their safety and their privacy. He kills the man's wife and his other son, because he thought it was the kid who witnessed the event, but it wasn't. And so the rest of the movie is the dad trying to protect the son while also getting revenge on the people who murdered his family. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the whole movie.
All right. I have a question for you.
Okay.
What's the biggest reason you like this movie?
Okay.
Don't say Jude Law.
Well, I mean, he was pretty good. But I would say the characters as well as... I don't know what I want to say. Not the era, because I love the 20s era. I do. Yeah. I love it. So probably the setting of the movie.
Isn't this set in 31 though?
Yeah, it's set in 1931.
Okay.
Yes.
So the production then?
No, not production.
Okay.
I guess maybe I would say the era.
Okay.
Because, I mean, not that I love every movie that is about the 20s, but this one is... I love how authentic everything is. Mm-hmm. Because in a lot of the recent movies that were made recently that are about 1920s, 30s mobsters and stuff, aren't... They're just...
They're more of a trope. They're more played off on a trope.
Right. They're trying too hard to be,
Yeah.
To find characters that are...
What's a prime example?
Gangster Squad. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it has...
I haven't, actually.
It has, Ryan Gosling and... Yeah.
Okay.
Did
you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. But I'm... Just from the pictures and stuff, the people... Okay, again with the visuals, I'm visual. I like things to be perfect.
This is why you should watch, Baby Driver.
But anyway, in Gangster Squad, all I have to do is look at pictures and say, you know what, that's not, you would never see anything from the 20s like that. The dresses, the ties, and the hats, nothing is authentic about them. And even in the way they talk, in Road to Perdition, there's the lingo, the accents, the mood of a very serious time. The depression was going on. So a lot of people were, hurting and didn't have a lot of money. And lots of people were desperate. There was a lot of crime going on at the same time. So the mood of it just reflects on the time of what it would have actually been like in the 30s. So I thought it was great because it was authentic and the characters weren't, unbelievable.
So that's your reason for liking the movie. It's hard for me to say that's why I would like it, though I do appreciate the quite closeness to it. I feel movies have done it extremely better, though.
Like what?
The most recent thing that comes to mind and that we've seen recently is The Sting. I feel it's probably the most authentic feeling movie when it comes to that time period. I can't think of a movie that's done more tastefully better.
That's true, but The Sting is also, it has some humor in it.
Exactly.
Right.
And I feel there was probably, of course, people were joking and such around that time.
Also, The Sting is a completely different setting, so, of course, the mood and stuff is going to be very different because it's...
A little.
It's a revenge movie as well, so it's getting back, but it's not so close to home. Like, this is...
Yeah.
Road to Perdition is the man's wife and the man's son, and he only has one son left, and, he's,
Poor Luther.
Yeah.
He's writing him
right.
off here.
No. I mean, Luther's sad, but it was as close as friends can be. He was just a friend. He wasn't, a family member or a child. I don't know. It's different. And plus, Hooker, this is from The Sting, the main character, Hooker, is used to being alone. He's... from what it shows, he's been a loner his whole life. Mostly it's just, like, I don't have anything else, so, yeah, let's have some fun. Let's get back at this guy. Get one over on him. Whereas Road to Perdition, then, Michael Sullivan is the main character's name. Is he the main character? This is the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to die doing this, but, yeah, I'm going to avenge my son and wife.
Is he considered the main character, though?
Oh,
Michael? Or is it what's his son's name?
Mike.
Okay, that's confusing.
Well, actually, Mike Sullivan is the dad, and Michael is...
Okay.
Well, they call him Mike. They're both Michael, but... Yeah.
Thanks a lot, movie, for making that
there's
easy
two
to
Michael
talk about.
Sullivans. I say that it's more about the dad, but I could see how you could say it was about the kid.
You know what? I think you're right. The main character is probably the father.
Right.
Though the movie's narrative is from the child's perspective.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Which it also makes it weird because I feel the tone of this movie... Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. The almost portrayal of the movie is almost like a kid's film. Even though tonally it's not.
Okay, wait.
The way it's told.
Explain yourself.
Okay.
Because I'm very confused right now.
Just like when you look at the movie overall.
Okay.
From, A to Z, the entire movie.
Okay. Just like bullet points.
Yeah. It feels like a children's movie narrative.
Okay, here, I'm gonna give you some bullet points.
I understand that the movie has tons of violence.
Gangster father murders man.
I understand that.
Kid sees. Kid, like, mom and brother get murdered. Dad murders a bunch of people.
Maybe...
Dad gets murdered. End of story.
Okay, okay. I wish there was a movie that I can think of that I can compare this to. Though that's not how I should review it.
Just because there's a kid in it, though.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
I'm curious.
It starts off with, like, this kid having this trauma, and then he goes on this adventure. Okay. He's with his dad, and they're kind of running away from the law, but they're having fun, and, he's learning to do all these adult things that he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it ends for him on this kind of sad note, but, he's free. He's free from that life.
That's if you take away absolutely everything out of the movie and are left with just those, I could see how you could get that. But
it's told, but the movie is shown through the child's narrative.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, that's kind of how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of true. But, I mean, surprisingly, I
Now,
really,
I understand the tone of the movie is dark and, the father's going on this revenge path.
Right.
But
interesting.
in that part, that's how it feels to me.
I could agree with you on that. Yeah, I could see how you get that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the parts that are very violent and dangerous and gory would be, from a kid's perspective, like the most intense, you know, terrible things they could be. But then there's also that added, where he's learning to drive and learning about his dad and stuff like that that are fun.
And also, I would say the soundtrack in the movie is a little more jovial and cheerful at some points that add to that.
I think they're very somber, actually. The soundtrack,
It varies a lot.
Yes, it does. There's the song at the wake, but it's supposed to be distracting.
Mm-hmm.
I think where he's learning to drive and where they're robbing all the banks is another scene.
Which is...
where there's happy music in the background. But other than that, it's the piano and the minor notes.
Yeah. It's interesting to me. I don't count this as a negative against the movie, just a perception. The first act is extremely solemn. Extremely dark. But the next, the other two are very lighthearted, which is strange to me. Like, they are the son and the father connecting.
Yeah, it's true. Tell me what you didn't like about the movie. Or tell me if you thought it was a great movie or just a good movie or you didn't care for it.
I think it is a good movie.
Okay.
With the production value, as you said, the setting is done very well. Quite tastefully.
Now tell me what you didn't like about it.
Well, I didn't finish with the other stuff.
Oh, sorry.
The music, for the most part, is done well. The characters are fine. You'll probably disagree with me on this. The visuals are done fairly well.
Okay, can I interrupt you for just a second to say that the cinematography is awesome?
It is. It is. I like how so much of this helps with the child's narrative, but it's shown from the kid's perspective, a lot of it. And it helps a ton. You don't see, in the near opening of the film, you don't see the dad mowing down. You see just kind of the bodies falling. It's from the kid's perspective. A lot of the shots of the dad are looking up. They're pointed upwards. Yeah. Just a lot of that is... The cinematography really helps tell the narrative. Right. Which is what cinematography should do.
But also there was an awesome shot where they're driving and it keeps zooming out and zooming out and zooming out. And it's like the fields and then just the car gets smaller and smaller. That's an awesome shot. Sorry, didn't mean... But
now, as for the things I disliked... I'm not sure if this is really even a dislike. It's just strange. The tonal shift in the part of where the dad is stealing the money. Yeah. It's lighthearted, which is strange.
But he has to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they might as well have made it lighthearted because at that point he doesn't know that he's still being followed. And so there's no posable threat at that point. There's no reason why it shouldn't be made lighthearted. Plus, I think he's probably trying to, keep things a little bit positive for the son's sake. And stuff like that. Plus, I mean, if they showed every single bank he robbed and went into detail about him threatening the bankers and stuff like that, it would get a little,
repetitive.
It would, get a little boring. So...
But
I thought they did that well. Just for that scene.
Yeah. I felt maybe they could have done something a little more interesting on that, but it was left simple. It's just give me your money.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically all.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I ever would, but if I would rob a bank, I mean, that's all I would do.
They could have had a heist part that could have helped with the continual tone of son, here's how we drive in. This is the bank we're gonna rob, the big one. And they go through the process, and it could have had... The second act could have been more of a heist.
I think that would have been a rabbit trail and would have strayed away from the main focus of the movie. Because the main focus isn't a heist, and then you would go back and look at the movie and say, that was big.
Oh, no.
Didn't have to do that.
No. I'm saying the way of his, getting back with the money and such could have been done differently to be more interesting, I suppose.
Well,
because it really leaves the movie just kind of hanging and almost stops it.
No.
To where it's, okay, this is the stealing, this is the stealing. What's beyond this? What's next? What are we trying to accomplish in this? And it feels like the movie is almost stopped at this point and it stays there for a while.
But did you understand why he stole the money?
I think.
Wow. Why?
To get back at him? Because he's stealing from...
To get back at who, though?
The crime boss. What's his name? Paul Newman.
Rooney?
Yeah. Well, and then he finds out that...
okay.
That... What's his son's name? Sorry.
Connor.
Connor, that's right. That Connor is actually stealing from Rooney.
Actually,
and that he's kind of trying to take over his business.
Okay, you missed a very big part.
Oops.
And it's the fact that he's stealing the money from Capone.
Oh, that's right.
So he's stealing the money from Capone because Capone is like the final say, the godfather.
Yeah.
And he says in a scene, I don't remember exactly how he worded it, but to paraphrase, Capone, Chicago loves their money,
mm-hmm.
and the only way that they're going to give me Connor is if I start stealing from them and taking their money. They're going to say, hey, this guy means business, we need our money back, here you go, here's Connor, you can kill him, do whatever you want with him.
Oh.
Because he knew that he didn't want to hurt Paul Newman's character, because he was like a father to him. So he just wanted Connor. Wait, what?
In that case, it kind of lessens the movie for me.
What?
Yeah. Because he ends up shooting him anyways.
He had to.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. You missed a bunch of stuff, I'm telling you, because...
He just goes to Connor's, room anyways and shoots him.
Okay, but here's the thing. When he goes to meet Rooney in the basement...
He tells
of the
him,
church, he says...
Don't do this.
He basically is saying, your son is stealing from Capone, and
mm-hmm.
it's taking away your paycheck, it was taking away mine, and he's basically, a dud,
mm-hmm.
and the dad's like, I don't care, it's my son.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, oh, okay, then Michael Sullivan's like, alright, and then, so he realizes... Maybe not necessarily he would have to kill the dad.
Yeah, he doesn't.
In order to kill Connor, but...
He absolutely doesn't have to.
I think he does it for the dad's sake. I think he does it for Paul Newman's sake.
You think?
Well, I mean, I perceive that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's a fair, perception.
Because there was something that Paul Newman said... that made me think that, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, it's still his son, even though he's a jerk and stuff like that, he still loves him.
Yeah.
Oh, why would he even,
Yeah. I guess that...
keep doing what he's doing if he didn't have a son.
I guess at 2 a.m, I didn't read that.
Oh, okay.
Read that part.
I mean, it's kind of a deep movie. It's not necessarily you have to, pay attention or you'll miss details.
Yeah, it's a fairly
there are little
simple
things
story.
like that overall make sense. It's kind of weird. Doesn't really seem maybe like my kind of movie, but it's kind of like not a heartfelt movie, but it's played a little bit more on emotions than...
certainly,
Yeah.
You're probably right. I probably would have liked this movie a little bit more had I have seen it fully cognitive.
That always seems to happen on movies that I suggest, that I really like, that you watch. Either the sound is off, or people are talking through it, or you're exhausted. Like Jaws.
You chose to
watch...
One
of my favorite movies.
You chose to watch Road to Perdition at, almost 1 a.m. To start it then.
True. I didn't know you were gonna fall asleep.
I didn't want to.
I know.
I was interested in the film, and I enjoyed it. I would be fine to rewatch it.
Yeah. I thought the whole, Capone thing was awesome. That they brought him into it. Because,
yeah, it was.
He had, the guts to stand up against him and steal from Capone. That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It got to that point where he had to do some crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
in order to get what he wanted. And, of course, Jude Law's character was... See, that is a scary character. Super, like, unpredictable and just, like, disturbed.
You need to watch No Country for Old Men, without a doubt, then. After saying that, you need to watch No Country for Old Men.
But...
Yes.
It's just like, but is it just, like, mindless, like, gore, or is it...
It depends on how you perceive it.
Okay.
You could perceive it at that, but there's a little bit more to it.
The violence and desperation in Road to Perdition is definitely, like, everything has a purpose. It's not just mindless, blowing heads off people, except for Connor. He does that. Mm-hmm. He mindlessly kills and doesn't think about it. Well, but that's what makes him... He's
more of a terrified character. He does, like, everything sporadically. He's
yes.
Like, just finds a way to...
Yeah. Sure,
get it, yeah.
Yeah.
Any way to fix a situation, even though if it's completely the wrong way to solve a problem.
He makes every wrong choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But that's what makes his character hateable, and that's a good thing, because...
Yeah. Yeah, you need to watch No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. But I like for things to have a purpose. I don't like it to just be...
It all depends on how you perceive it.
Okay.
Which really makes me wonder now. Yeah, Jude Law's character was spooky.
Yeah. He was so good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that role. Especially that scene where they're in the diner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just talking to Mike Sullivan, and Mike's kind of suspicious of him, but he doesn't realize, It's awesome.
Yeah. I will say, as I mentioned right after we watched it, but the movie was a little predictable. It wasn't one of those movies where, like, I have no idea what's going to happen. It kind of sets up...
Yeah, that's true.
But it's hard to do that in a revenge story.
Right.
I'm not sure if that's a negative against the film or not. I don't know.
I'll say, towards the end, after he kills Connor, and they go to the beach, right when they land at the beach, before he goes in the house, then I wasn't sure if the movie would end right there, but I wasn't surprised when he got shot. So, I wasn't surprised at the ending, but I still was like, well, maybe,
I wasn't.
Jude Law was actually dead or something.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was like, I know Jude Law is going to come back.
Oh, okay.
This is going...
Yeah.
Which... I suppose, which is all in perspective, because you thought it might have ended there.
Yeah.
I didn't. I would have preferred to have seen maybe, like, the music went dull. Like, no music. And it's going to happen. And it's more of a solemn, sad thought.
That's exactly what happens.
Well, no, he's just staring at the window and then he gets shot.
Yeah, and it's quiet.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about that movie, too. Especially when Mike Sullivan guns down Rooney, the dad, he kills all his bodyguards, and it's sad music, and Rooney's like, it's like his unrelated, like, his non-blood son. Mm-hmm. So he's like a son to him, is, betraying him, and it's actually, happening, and he knows he's gonna die, so it's sad music, and then Mike comes out of the shadows, and it shows him face to face with Rooney, and Rooney says, "I'm glad it was you," and then the music stops, and it's just...
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. I like that the movie does that, and it does it right then, too. It's, like, all quiet, and then...
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
I guess. But it tries to fool the audience. For me, I wasn't fooled at all, so I would have preferred something else.
That's true. But I liked the ending. I liked that everybody died. Except for the kid. Mm-hmm. I mean...
Which I feel is done tastefully.
Right.
I like how... I mean, obviously this is how the movie's written, but I really enjoyed the fact that the father shoots him, so he doesn't have to.
Right.
It's like,
so the kid
he's free. He's completely free from all of this.
Exactly. Anyway, it's still cool that, at the end... He shoots the guy so his son,
doesn't have to live that life.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And usually I like a movie where everybody dies in the end. But I'm glad that the kid didn't die.
It closes... Yeah. It's also very nice how it's a completely finished story.
Yes, that's what I like.
Yeah. It ends it on, like, a note that's very satisfying.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of open-ended, like, you know...
If it's done tastefully.
Except for Inception.
Yeah. Inception does it very well.
Yeah.
The Thing has an ending like that, where it's left open. And I'm still torn. I can't tell whether I do like it or not. In some aspect, I do want, like, some closure to it. But I also like the fact that it leaves it on this such a solemn, depressing note of, like, either one could be it. And they don't know. So... And it just left out. And you're like, is the Thing still alive or not?
I didn't care.
Yeah, that would be a problem, you know. Yeah. If you don't care about the first part, you're probably not going to care about the end.
I tried to care. I just didn't.
Yeah, I would say, for the most part, I did enjoy Road to Perdition.
Yeah.
I won't say the movie was perfect, or...
Right, and I'm not saying that either. It had some flaws in it, but I think what I mostly enjoyed about it, like I said earlier, is just, like, the time period, all the old, like, the vintage things, and the, that group of, or type of lifestyle, like the mobsters. I just like that. I don't know why, I just do.
I think one thing that...
Prohibition era.
This isn't going to make any sense at first, but I think one thing they might have been able to improve on, though, for what they did was done well, the father-son relationship.
What?
I know, that might not make any sense, but I feel they could have maybe done a little bit more.
Oh, so you wanted a little bit more of the, like, the lightheartedness?
Maybe not lightheartedness, but...
That's what that would have entailed.
Not necessarily. They could have
unless you wanted them to bond over murdering people.
Like, it was done well, but I feel there could have been some more there.
I thought it was good how it was, because the memories of the kid had of his dad were those memories. Yeah. And, you know, that's all he has now. But.
Which could be the fact that if there was more, it would have been less. Sometimes less is more.
Right, yeah.
So maybe it was done as well as they could.
Right. Oh, I thought it was good. It was just as good the second time I watched it. So,
okay, good.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
I would too. There is a lot of language in it.
There's a lot of language. There's and obviously some violence.
Right. The violence I can handle. It's not that bad. But it's not like, you know, overly gory. It's not like, you know, blood squirting everywhere. Slime dripping off tables.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Well, it's just gross. But, yeah. So the violence isn't too terribly bad, but there is a lot of language in it. And I did realize the second time I watched it that there was a little bit more than I remembered from the first time. That always happens when you... Watching a movie by yourself versus watching it with somebody else, you're like, oh, didn't realize that was in there. Whoops. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I'd recommend it. Just know it's strictly for adults.
Mm-hmm. And I would recommend The Thing for 5 and up.
I would recommend The Thing to nobody.
What was your favorite part of Road to Perdition?
The little part in the movie where Maguire is hunting down Mike Sullivan.
So Jude Law.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about that character that's so real, and he's quirky. Like, even the soundtrack in the background is, you know, it's quirky music, but his character is. And it's scary.
I would have really enjoyed seeing more of that character.
Yeah. The scene where the accountant, where he goes to visit the accountant and get the information from him. And Jude Law shows up and has a shotgun. That's an awesome scene. Mm-hmm. He's like, you can see like the desperation on his face, you know.
More of the fire in his eyes,
right.
The thrill of it.
Right.
Man, you need to see No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
You really do. But that will be a different episode, I'm sure.
Yeah. Also, that was kind of weird that they made Jude Law bald. Because he was young right then. He had a lot of hair.
I guess.
They just chose to make him... Probably to make him a little bit less desirable.
With Jude Law, I feel... It kind of sucks how little he's in it. Because when you see him, you're like, whoa, who is this?
But at the same time, it makes those moments more intense.
But it almost lessens the rest of the movie for how good it is.
True, because then when you watch it... Because when I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, let's get to the good part. Yeah. True. But,
not that the rest of the movie is bad.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's just the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, you kind of want more of that.
Yes.
It's like, oh, man, I really like this aspect and this character.
Yeah.
He's quirky and freaky and all this stuff.
Right. And to be honest, when I first watched the movie, I guess I didn't even pay attention to what year it was made, and I thought that the kid was Jude Law because he doesn't show up for a long time. I was like, is that Jude Law when he was a kid? And
doesn't look a thing like him.
I know, just stupid, and I was like, what? And then he comes in, he's behind the camera. He comes in with his and then I was like, oh, okay, there he is. Because I knew that Jude Law was in it, but he doesn't show up until, more than halfway through the movie. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe about halfway through the movie.
Around there.
Yeah.
One interesting thing about this film, how long is it? Is it not like an hour and 45 or something?
It's like an hour and 55 minutes.
Okay.
Almost
it feels much longer to me.
Oh, really? Probably because you were tired.
It could be because I was tired, but it's a very slow-paced movie. It takes its time, which I can appreciate. Right.
But it's not boring.
No, exactly. Unlike There Will Be Blood, it respects your time.
Oh. How long is There Will Be Blood?
Like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's so long.
That's like a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, just about. It's a very long movie. But Road to Perdition respects your time.
Yeah.
Even though it's slow. Very similar to the Planet of the Apes films, where they're slow-paced, but still engaging. Respect your time by making sure that what's on screen is important.
Right. And
feels lifelike because of the real timeness it feels to it. The slow-pacedness.
Right.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Unlike There Will Be Blood, where you're just watching a guy, go in a well, and then he breaks his leg, and then that's kind of never brought up again. I get that he's a hard worker, but gosh dang, you could have showed it in any other way that's more engaging, that doesn't take at least 10 minutes in the beginning.
Oh my word. Glad I didn't watch it.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna get so much hate for that. People love that movie for some reason.
You can have your opinion.
I can have my opinion, but I don't want to hear people complain about how my opinion sucks.
Well. No.
Oh well. People listen to our opinions about the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but they don't have to agree with us.
I guess. Though I would actually like to hear, for any of you listening, what your opinion is on the thing.
Right.
And or Road to Perdition.
Right. Yeah. Just let us know if you liked it or not and what you liked about it, or maybe where our reasoning was flawed.
Yeah.
That's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Feedback is welcomed.
I enjoy the debate, so if you think you can challenge me on it,
listen to you. You can't even keep your own logic up between Men in Black and The Thing.
Shut up. Also, if you have any recommendations of movies that you would like us to watch and do a review on, we would love to hear some of those. Oh,
and I would like to say, with recent releases, you may be wondering, since we review Captain Marvel, why don't you do Shazam or Dumbo or Us? And we're like, well, here's our reply now. No, we want to watch actually good movies. So.
Well,
then we like watching some older movies because
we haven't outruled the idea of watching a very bad movie to do a review on it.
Believe me,
warn people about it.
Believe me, one of these days it's gonna come up, and boy, it's gonna be a long podcast episode.
Yes, it is, and it's gonna be very loud.
Yeah, we would have done one on Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, but
yeah, that would have been a 2-hour.
Yeah, not that this isn't, but
yeah.
But we felt let's talk about good movies instead.
Right.
To inform you.
And we're trying to make up for missing a week, so...
Yeah, we apologize for that. Deeply and humbly apologize.
But if you have
what is it? I would like to apologize.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to apologize for this. Yeah.
Try again. You would like to apologize. Try again. Gentlemen,
yeah.
my apology. Well, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know on any of our social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TuneIn, iTunes, Podbean. Cool, yep. We're mostly active on our Instagram. Apologies, we're trying to get better at doing the Twitters, but...
we're all technologically impaired here.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah. But we'd love to hear from you guys. If you're listening, just let us know that you're listening, or what you enjoy about it, or what you don't like about it, or new things you would like to see. And next week, we will be doing some music.
Yeah.
We'll be playing some guitar and some mandolin and singing songs that we...
Some good old improv.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Songs that we're making up. But we appreciate the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time, folks.